You know, just when I think I'm off the Trump train, he does something like this to totally redeem himself. I'll be honest with you. My family comes from a third world, second world country. We were a first world country until communism took over. And then we lost everything. We dropped down to third world. And to be honest, this is how immigrants talk about other immigrants. This is how people feel about anyone who is ungrateful for the United States and what this country offers. When I see people who are from third world countries that come to the United States and try to give us advice on how we should run our country, on how we should run our government, our establishment, and then they complain about white people. You purposely decided to relocate to a primarily white country, but you have a heavy disdain for white people and you hate white culture, then fucking go to Zimbabwe. Why don't you immigrate to China? Why don't you go to Japan? Why would you come all the way around the world to the United States to tell us how to make our country great or better, but you couldn't do the same in your country? You came here because we are a superior culture in a more advanced society. If you were advanced and you had better suggestions, why didn't you apply them at home? We call people like that garbage. That's like me hiring somebody to come work for my company, and all they keep talking about is how much better it was at their last job. Then fucking quit and go back to your last job. Matter of fact, why were you even in the market looking for another place to work if you had such a great position over there and everything over there was so much better? See, people use your kindness against you. They see it as a weakness. These are people they're not as empathetic as you are, but they play on your empathy because they're able to outsmart you. They get you to hurt yourself because you don't want to offend them. I don't walk on eggshells. I don't give a fuck what you think. Neither does my president, thank God. He's talking like an actual person with some sense. If you're a liberal, if you're a Democrat and you're sympathetic, why don't you show me how sympathetic you are? Pack up a bag and fucking fly to Mogadishu, fly to Somalia and go live there. And you make Somalia great. Guess what? Trump's not the president of Somalia. There's no ICE in Somalia. You don't like what we're about to do, which is send these people back. We're returning to sender. It's like a package that came. The package got here. It's damaged. We have to return it. These people do not like our country. They are not appreciative of our country. One thing I don't know if it's an American thing. I've lived in other countries. People aren't like us. We don't like ungratefulness. We go out of our way to help people. And when that person turns around and spits in your face and says, you did nothing for me, we cut you off like an ungrateful child. This is no different right now. You know, again, Trump's not a good politician because good politicians are really good at lying. Obviously, this man has a really hard time lying. A liar would say all the niceties and they would try to figure out a soft way of saying this. That's why I love this guy. He's not a fucking politician. I'm back on the Trump chain.
We could go one way or the other, and we're going to go the wrong way if we keep taking in garbage into our country. Ilhan Omar is garbage. She's garbage. Her friends are garbage. These aren't people that work. These aren't people that say, let's go, come on, let's make this place great. These are people that do nothing but complain. They complain. And from where they came from, they got nothing. You know, they came from paradise and they said, this isn't paradise. But when they come from hell and they complain and do nothing but bitch, we don't want them in our country.
Now, once upon a time, everyone would have said, Rico, he's wrong. These people work. They contribute to society, blah, blah, blah. Get the hell out of here. We just learned because of the great EBT fiasco of 2025 that all these people that are coming from these other countries are sucking the teat of the government. Yeah. Yeah. Basically, they were all hired to move to the United States by NGOs. And what they do is they come to the United States, they have to vote Democrat, but also because it's based on population size and not the amount of citizens, congressional seats grow in these districts, giving these states and Democrats more power. So in exchange for these people moving their whole family to a country full of white people that they can't stand and a culture that does not fit theirs, you have to compensate them. So they were money laundering using Medicaid to send cash benefits directly. Some 4,000 to 5,000 per month. Per month, these people are being paid. And guess what? They get SNAP benefits and they were also getting free housing. Just because they wanted to pad the voter rolls and increase the congressional seats in certain areas. But these people aren't that damn dumb. You have to pay them. So why do you think these people were showing up at these town hall meetings saying, look, you guys got 2 months to start sending me my money again before me and my family are out of here? And what did the Democrats do? They scrambled like eggs to try to find a way to get us to accept that deal where we're going to give trillions to Medicaid. We said no. And we reopened the government anyway, and they got nothing. But in that short period of time where the whole EBT was delayed and we weren't giving out, we started finding out where the money went. The money was directly being laundered to these people so that they would support the left and the people who were basically giving them the money. You know, they know who butters their bread. Unbelievable. So now we exposed it. These people are coming to this country, they don't work. Some of them might get jobs here and there, but for the most part, they were getting in millions of dollars, and then they were sending it to terrorist organizations in their home country. But you're more mad about Trump calling them garbage than about the garbage sending money to terrorist garbage across the world? That's what I mean by your priorities are messed up. And maybe you should consider relocating to a country that values you share. You don't share American values. Be honest with yourself. Do you stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Do you stand for the flag? Do you believe in our Constitution? Can you name the amendments? Can you read them to me verbatim? What do you feel about the First Amendment or the Second? I mean, you don't really share American values. You just happen to be born in America, but you can change that. You don't have to remain in this country. You can escape fascism, racism. You can escape capitalism. Why subjugate yourself? Why hurt yourself every day? Did you know this? You might not know this, but there are international flights, right, that go out of the country every hour on the hour. You can literally leave and never come back. Matter of fact, if you're really serious about hating capitalism, hating white people and racism, to really show that you're serious, renounce your citizenship. Become a citizen of another country. That way you have no ties to this country, and then you can finally be free, and you will no longer be a racist, evil person who's oppressed or doing any oppressing, and your slate, your history, your family tree will be wiped. Do that. You can literally go make these other countries great again because they're better than America, right? That's why they can come over here and give us advice. Instead of them coming over here and asking for advice on what to do, they're giving us advice. That's being ungrateful, and that's trash, and we don't like people like that. And we're just not dealing with it anymore. You know, they really did think that Americans were weak and soft, and they made a complete miscalculation. See, the thing is, they don't understand is that you can only push us to a certain point. Yeah, we won't say nothing for a long time, but when we do, it's over. And right now, for this community, and yes, we have to group them all together. The Somalians are like Cubans. They're like Mexicans. They all run in a pack. They have their own world within our world that they live in. Did you know they even have their own police force within their community that goes after their own people? Apparently, so do the Chinese. They have different groups have their own enforcers that operate outside of our law enforcement, and it's within their own community. So it's like they have their own country within our country. So that means they're not following our laws. They're following their own laws, which cannot be allowed. It's un-American. It's not fair. It's not equal. And it will not be tolerated anymore. These things have to come to an end. And these are not necessarily good things. These are bad things. Ilhan Omar hates the very people that gave her everything. She's a multi-millionaire because of our generosity. She didn't earn anything. And then they use our generosity against us. They smuggle their people in and they're like, oh, but we're citizens now. You can't do nothing about it. That's not true. Remember, you became citizens because of fraud. We're going back through the applications and we're actually re-examining them and we're discovering tons. And then you find out Omar herself was here based on immigration fraud. She fraudulently even married her own brother to get him, because he's gay, living in Somalia, which is kind of like a death wish. So she married her own gay brother just to get him citizenship to come over here, just to get here and complain about being here. Did you not know that there are 190 something other countries you could choose from? Why did you choose the United States? The beautiful part is Canada's pretty much been dissolved. So now you can just send all these people to Canada. You guys go back home to Somalia and then you book flights to Canada. And in Canada, they'll give you all the socialism you want. You can implode that place until we have to adopt Canada as our 51st state. And then we're going to just rinse and repeat the process for you again if you're in the territories that we take in. Again, Trump's not a good politician. He's speaking like a man, an American, and I love the honesty.
Let them go back to where they came from and fix it. Thank you very much, everybody. We could go one way or the other, and we're going to go the wrong way if we keep taking in garbage into our country.
And I completely agree. I was talking to one of my friends. He's actually Palestinian, and the word assimilation came up, and he said, "Fuck assimilation. We're not going to assimilate to anybody. Then stay home. If I don't go to China because I want to be Chinese, I won't go to China. If you didn't come to America, if you didn't come to the United States to be an American, then you're in the wrong place. You will have to eventually go home. America is for Americans, or people who aspire to be Americans. It's not for people that hate America and hate Americans, but they love our money and they're just here to suck our resources and send them away and be unappreciative and ungrateful. We're not going to tolerate that. Not anymore. So I'll be back on in about 10 minutes. I'm just now getting this whole new mic set up. So I wanted to make sure it works, make sure people can hear me. Let me check the comments. Do you like Trump? Absolutely. Well, especially do now. I mean, yeah, a couple of weeks ago, I didn't like him. He said we didn't have the talent here in America. And, I'm wondering, like, was he just trying to challenge us to say we do have the talent, that we have the talent? He wants to prove us wrong. I don't know. But whatever the case is, I like what he said today more than I hate what he said 2 weeks ago. I'm never going to agree 100% with anybody ever. And I'm not an agreeable person. I counter everything. I always got something to say. I got my own opinions. And in this situation, I have to side with Trump. It is okay to call certain people trash if their behavior is trash. And remember, this community works as one. They are in sync with one another. It's a joint disdain for American society. That's why they moved to the United States and they all huddle around each other. They speak their own language. They follow their own religious beliefs. And it's pretty much like they're still in Somalia. There's nothing really, they're living in a frozen Somalia, a Somalia with snow. That's what Minnesota is. You might as well go back to Somalia. And look, you guys learned a lot from us, and all the tips and advice you're giving us on how to run our government, you're going to have the luxury of applying it to your own country. And then you can show us with your results that you know what you're talking about. Because right now, it just seems like you're just full of shit and complaining, but you can prove us wrong. You're especially going to have a chance to prove Trump wrong. We are going to revoke their citizenship. We're going to be removing it because if it was obtained with fraud, then it doesn't exist. These are rules that were already on the books. They just were never enforced because nobody was trying to get rid of their Democrat voters. But if the Democrats are only in power ever because of fraud and voter fraud and bringing in illegal immigrants who are illegally voting, then they shall never be in power again. America will be for Americans. Yeah. Do you support a $400 million plane from a country that supports Hamas? Absolutely. Again, no country is perfect. And Hamas has their issues with Israel, but that's not our issue. If it wasn't for Israel, who knows? Think about it. We gave hundreds of billions of dollars in equipment to the Taliban in Afghanistan when we pulled out under Biden. So obviously you don't have no problem with that. Then you shouldn't have a problem with taking a $400 million plane from Qatar. If you'll leave hundreds of billions of dollars in equipment and give it to the Taliban and not ask for anything in return, then us taking a plane from Qatar you shouldn't lose any sleep over that at night. Also, he said he would go into the girls' changing rooms. Bro, to be honest, I don't know. I wasn't following him back then. I don't know if that's even true or not. He also said magnets don't work when they get wet and windmills kill whales. Underwater windmills do kill whales. And I forgot, they're called turbines, but they have these underwater, they're trying to generate electricity with the waves, and they do kill sea life. And then the turbines above land kill birds and other animals, and they cost more oil to maintain them than the generating energy that they make. It doesn't offset the amount of petroleum which is being used, which defeats the whole purpose. None of these clean energy initiatives ever worked. They were always a scam. This whole Green New Deal was the Green New scam from the beginning. Don't believe me? I was just actually watching a report from the Australians, literally, that are saying the exact same thing. All of their electricity bills are higher. They went to renewables and none of it's working. It's not generating anything except profits for energy companies. So you can just ask them. The whole world is now seeing through the Green New scam. It doesn't work. None of it. So if you want to believe in that, then I would like to sell you a bridge to Antarctica. You can't say that. You can't say this is with zero cognitive reasoning, because we're literally sitting here speaking about something and going into detail. When you don't have cognitive reasoning, that means that you cannot explain your support. Like when you walk up to someone like yourself and you say, oh, you guys are fascists. And I ask you to show me define what a fascist is. And you say, I don't want to have this conversation, and you walk away. That's a cult. When you walk up to me and say Trump's racist, and I say, okay, what has he done racist? And you say, well, you should know. That means you're in a cult. You can't clearly explain it. The fact that I can sit here and have a conversation and engage, that shows a cognitive reasoning in itself. So that kind of defeats your whole argument. And now you're asking for 1 second. You should already know this. It should be on standby, but you don't. Honestly, I love reading the comments, and I do appreciate all the feedback. Trump said what he said, and it's not just the Somalians. All these third world countries, they're actually suggesting that we do because you can look at the average IQ of a nation. You can look it up and see what the average IQ score is of any nation. And the suggestion is anyone with under a certain IQ score would not be allowed to relocate to the United States. Obviously, we have enough Democrats, dumb people that are already in the country. We don't need more. We already have to take care of them. Remember, the people with the lowest IQs in the country are the people that are on our social services. The reason why when you watch the body cam footage and you listen to certain people speak English and you're like, I can barely understand what they're saying. You got to think about it. They're from a culture that doesn't work. So there's no incentive to be professional. They don't know how to even speak proper English. They live in their own enclaves around their own people. They have their own slang. They don't deal with the outside world. They don't need to. They don't have to work. They get government assistance every month, which pays for their housing, pays for their food. And for generations, they live in their own little circles, their own enclaves. So they never have to be professionals. They don't have to work. They don't have to deal with other people. And when they do come in contact with law enforcement, then you start to see that you're like, wow, how are you this age and you've always spoken this way? Where does this person work? And then you find out they've never worked. And that's why there's never been an incentive or a desire or a need to be professional or to sound professional or to behave a certain way. So we have enough of those people in this country. Bringing in more people that are like that just to pad the voter rolls, it's not sustainable, obviously. And we're just going to choose to go the other way with it going forward. So I do appreciate all the feedback. I'll be on live again in about 20 minutes. Remember, America first, America only.
I've been needing to find a new apartment, which has not been easy with credit as bad as mine. Luckily, I found cosigning.com. They connected me with a cosigner who helped me get my dream apartment for me and my dog. I just paid a small fee and was able to move in fast. Get the cosigner you need for the apartment you want. Check out cosigning.com today.